They stood there, phones out, filming every second, but no one moved. He was just 17, a black teen, dragged by his neck across the asphalt by a cop twice his size. Why didn't anyone stop it? What made this moment so shocking that it went viral overnight? You're about to hear a story that'll make your blood boil, your heart race, and leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about justice. He was just a kid named Jalen, walking home from the corner store in a small Ohio town, earbuds in, hoodie up. It was a chilly evening in 2023, the kind where streetlights flicker and the air feels heavy with tension. Jalen wasn't looking for trouble. He was thinking about the math test he'd aced that morning, the one his mom promised to celebrate with pizza. She always told him, "Keep your head down, stay out of trouble." He tried, he really did, but trouble found him. It started with a patrol car rolling up slow, lights off, like a predator stalking prey. The cop, Officer Daniel Harris, had been on the force for 15 years, known for his short fuse and a reputation for keeping order in the neighborhood. They called him Hawk behind his back, not because he was sharp, but because he watched everyone like they were guilty of something. Jalen didn't see the car at first. He was humming along to his music, bag of chips in hand, oblivious to the eyes locked on him. She was there too, Mrs. Carter, the retired school teacher who lived across the street. She saw Jalen every day, always waved when he passed her porch. That night, she was watering her plants when she noticed the patrol car. Something felt off. She paused, hose dripping, watching as Harris stepped out, his hand already on his holster. "What's he doing?" she muttered, her gut twisting. Jalen hadn't done anything wrong. He was just walking. They gathered quickly. A small crowd, maybe 10 people, pulling out their phones as Harris called out to Jalen. "Hey, kid, stop right there." His voice was sharp, cutting through the quiet street. Jalen froze, yanking out an earbud. He turned, confused, hands raised slightly to show he wasn't a threat. "Officer, I'm just going home," he said, his voice steady but nervous. Harris didn't care. He was already moving closer, eyes narrowed, like he'd made up his mind before Jalen even spoke. The crowd grew. Teens from the basketball court, a delivery driver on his break, a mom pushing a stroller. They all saw it unfolding, phones up, capturing every moment. But no one stepped in. Why? Fear, shock, or something deeper, something uglier. Jalen's heart pounded as Harris barked, "ID now." He fumbled for his wallet, hands shaking. He wasn't fast enough for Harris. "You deaf, kid," the cop snapped, stepping closer. That's when it happened. The moment that would spark outrage across the country. He grabbed Jalen by the neck. Not a light grip, not a warning. An iron hold, fingers digging into the teen's skin. Jalen gasped, dropping his chips, his wallet hitting the ground. Harris didn't stop. He yanked Jalen forward, dragging him across the street like a rag doll. The asphalt scraped Jalen's sneakers, tearing the soles. His hoodie ripped at the shoulder. He choked out, "I can't breathe," but Harris kept pulling, his face a mask of cold rage. They filmed it all. The crowd, now 20 strong, held their phones steady, some whispering, some shouting. "Yo, he's just a kid," one teen yelled, but his voice was drowned out by Harris's bellow. "Stop resisting." Jalen wasn't resisting. He was limp, terrified, his hands flailing to grab anything for balance. Mrs. Carter dropped her hose, her hands shaking as she dialed 911. "They're hurting a boy," she told the operator, her voice cracking, but the operator's response was flat. "Units are on the way." She stood frozen, watching Jalen's face contort in pain. He was her student once, back in middle school, always quiet, always polite. Now he was on the ground, Harris's knee on his back, the cop's hand still clamped around his neck. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, but no one moved closer. They were scared, scared of Harris, scared of what he'd do if they interfered. One man, a delivery driver named Marcus, later said, "I wanted to help, but I got kids. I couldn't risk it." He wasn't the only one. The mom with the stroller turned away, shielding her toddler's eyes. A group of teens argued among themselves. Some wanted to rush Harris, others held them back. "He's got a gun, man," one hissed. The phones kept rolling, capturing every angle of Jalen's humiliation. His voice broke as he begged. "I didn't do anything." Harris didn't respond. He tied Jalen's hands tight enough to cut into his wrists and hauled him to his feet. They didn't know why this was happening. Jalen hadn't stolen anything, hadn't run, hadn't even raised his voice. Later, Harris would claim he matched the description of a suspect in a nearby robbery, but the description was vague: black male, hoodie, young. It could have been half the kids in the neighborhood. Jalen's mom, Tanya, got the call from Mrs. Carter while she was at work. She dropped everything, racing to the scene, her heart in her throat. When she arrived, Jalen was already in the back of the patrol car, head down, tears streaking his face. She screamed at Harris, "That's my son. What did he do?" Harris didn't answer. He just pointed at her, warning her to stay back. The crowd parted as Tanya pushed through, her voice raw with panic. "Jalen, baby, I'm here," she called, but the car door slammed shut. They drove off, leaving her sobbing in the street, the crowd still filming, still silent. The video hit social media within minutes, racking up thousands of views before Tanya even got to the station. He sat in that cell for hours alone, scared, his neck bruised and his wrists raw. Jalen kept replaying it in his head. Why him? Why now? He'd followed his mom's rules, kept his head down, stayed out of trouble. But none of that mattered. Harris didn't see a kid with a future, he saw a threat. The video spread like wildfire, hashtags trending, comments flooding in. Some called for justice, others defended Harris, saying Jalen must have done something. The internet was a battleground, and Jalen was caught in the middle. They didn't expect what came next. The video didn't just go viral. It changed everything. By morning, local news stations were playing it on loop. Pundits arguing over excessive force versus officer safety. Protests erupted outside the police station with Tanya at the front, holding a sign with Jalen's school photo. She wasn't just a mom anymore. She was a symbol of every parent who'd ever feared for their child. "My son is not a criminal," she told reporters, her voice shaking but strong. He was released that night, no charges filed. The suspect excuse fell apart when the robbery suspect was caught, a 30-year-old man, nothing like Jalen. But the damage was done. Jalen came home quiet, different. He didn't want to talk, didn't want to eat. He just sat in his room, staring at the wall. Tanya tried to reach him, but he'd flinch when she touched his shoulder. "I'm fine, Mom," he'd say, but his eyes told a different story. She fought back, though. Tanya wasn't about to let this go. She contacted a lawyer, a woman named Erica Stone, who'd taken on police misconduct cases before. Erica watched the video and didn't hesitate. "This is bigger than Jalen," she told Tanya. "This is about every kid who's been profiled, every family who's been ignored." They filed a lawsuit against Harris and the department, demanding accountability. The crowd's videos became their evidence. Every angle, every moment, undeniable. They didn't stop there. The community rallied. Mrs. Carter organized a town hall, packing the local rec center with people who'd seen the video. Some shared their own stories, stops, searches, harassment, all for matching a description. Marcus, the delivery driver, spoke up, his voice heavy with guilt. "I should have done something," he admitted. "I was scared, but that's no excuse." The room was electric, anger and hope colliding. They wanted change, and they wanted it now. He wasn't ready for what came next. Jalen's story caught the eye of a national activist group, and suddenly, he wasn't just a kid from Ohio. He was a face on TV, a name in headlines. People sent letters, donations, messages of support, but not everyone was kind. Online trolls attacked him, calling him a thug who deserved it. Jalen stopped checking his phone. He didn't want to be a symbol, he just wanted to feel safe again. She uncovered something big. Erica, digging through Harris's record, found a pattern. Dozens of complaints over the years, all swept under the rug. Excessive force, racial profiling, intimidation. Harris had been untouchable, protected by the department. But this time, the video was too loud, too clear. The mayor, facing pressure, suspended Harris pending an investigation. It wasn't enough for Tanya, but it was a start. They didn't see the twist coming. One of the crowd members, a quiet teen named Kayla, had more than just a video. She'd recorded audio too, catching Harris muttering something under his breath as he dragged Jalen. It was faint, but clear enough, a racial slur, cold and deliberate. Kayla hadn't shared it at first, scared of retaliation, but when she saw Jalen's mom at the town hall, she handed over the file. "I'm sorry, I didn't do more," she whispered. Erica played the audio for the lawyers, and the room went silent. This wasn't just excessive force anymore, it was hate caught on tape. He thought it was over, but it was just beginning. The audio changed everything. When it leaked, the internet exploded. Harris wasn't just a cop with a temper. He was a man with a history, a bias, a reason for targeting Jalen. The department couldn't hide it anymore. Harris was fired, and the lawsuit gained traction, with national media calling it a landmark case. Jalen, still healing, spoke at a rally, his voice soft but steady. "I just wanted to go home," he said. "No one should feel like I did." She stood by him, Tanya, her strength unwavering. They won a settlement. Not just money, but a promise of reform, body cams, training, accountability. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Jalen started therapy, slowly opening up. He wasn't the same kid, but he was finding his way back. The crowd who filmed, some apologized, others stayed silent. But their videos, their inaction, sparked a movement. They never forgot that night. Neither should you. This story isn't just Jalen's. It's happening everywhere, every day. What would you have done? Would you have filmed, shouted, stepped in? Comment below and tell me, when you see injustice, what's your move? Hit that like button if Jalen's story hit you hard, and subscribe to hear more stories that demand to be told. Let's keep this conversation going.